Hey, moms in real estate. I'm so excited to be back with you for a second time today. And this time
Yay.
is going to be equally as good because we are with the one and only Kayla Adams. And if you don't know Kayla Adamson, you should. Like, she is such a powerhouse out of
Oh,
Florida, and she has such a heart for women. She's one of our partners here at Moms in Real Estate, and she has the Stay Bossy community. And I just love
mhm.
the authenticity that you lead with. And today she's actually going to be walking us through three crucial steps that you miss on onboarding that are costing you loyalty as a client from your clients. And I think this is so powerful, especially in Q4. And I think that all of us should be looking at how do we get more opportunities from what we're already doing. And so I feel like, Kayla, this is going to be like spot on with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to go over this today. This is one of my superpowers, I feel like, as well. So, to be able to share it with everyone so that you can implement it into your own systems and routines is just going to be awesome.
Yay. Well, I'm super excited. So you won't want to miss. Stay tuned. Also, there's
Mhm.
going to be a giveaway, right? There's going to be a giveaway at the end.
Yes, a
Um,
really great giveaway.
Yay! So we're always excited for that. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. Are you ready for me to share your screen?
I am ready. Let's do this.
All right, sister, it's all yours. And if you are tuning in, any of our live streams, any of our platforms, our staff and our community coordinators monitoring. So you can drop questions
Mhm.
in and we will answer any questions you have for Kayla at the end of her presentation. So there you go, sister. You're good to go.
Perfect. Good afternoon, ladies. I'm going to jump right in. And just like Randy said, I am happy to answer any and all questions at the end. So, just to get started, I'm sure some of you have seen me share this quote. It is in my book, The Best Agent Doesn't Win, the Best Communicator Does. And I wanted to start our call with a quick story and tell you guys about when I first became a real estate agent. I got my real estate license at the very end of 2015. I joined a cute little boutique brokerage and I spent a lot of time sitting in the office, right? You want to learn from everyone that's in there, see what's happening, hear the conversations, be in the mix of the behind the scenes. And one day while I was sitting in the office, the top producer of the office, which of course I looked up to, came storming into the office and she was really, really mad because she did not win a listing. She wasn't mad because she didn't win the listing. She was mad because of who she lost the listing to. And it was a brand new realtor. It didn't matter how much experience she had, it didn't matter how many sales she had. She was not the best communicator. She tried to rely on her stats and her numbers to get her business. And a new agent swooped in, got the listing because they were a great communicator, a great speaker. They were smooth with their words. And it is no surprise that the best communicator always wins. And that's what we're going to dive in a little bit more today about. So, the top reasons buyers and sellers don't rehire the same realtor again. And this is based on real statistics, you guys. National consumer feedback, NAR reports, and post transaction surveys that were collected and put into data for us to analyze. And I skipped over post nurturing because everyone knows they should nurture their clients post closing, right? We see pop buys galore in all of our groups. We see the client events. This is something that is all over social media right now, and you can literally go on Pinterest and get 100 pop buy ideas. So I didn't include that on here, but it is one of the top ones, lack of follow up post closing. But we're going to talk about what happens before you even get to the closing table today. So, poor communication was a top one. Clients often feel left in the dark about showings or feedback, offers, closing updates. They're not getting talked to enough. And talking is literally free. We can do this at any time. We can set alarms in our phone to send a quick text about what's going on with the transaction a couple times a week. Misaligned expectations. Clients expect the agents to perform miracles. We all know that, especially when we start getting those phone calls about like what's happening, why am I getting lowball offers, all of that jazz. Buyers and sellers want miracles, especially in 2025 when we're in this weird real estate market, right? But sometimes it is kind of our fault. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, but sometimes as agents, we overpromise. Instead of setting realistic expectations, we take listings that are overpriced. We say, oh, I can sell your home quickly, no problem, just because we're going up against other agents. And we kind of set everybody up for unrealistic expectations. And then lack of personal connection or trust. Everyone knows we should try to build that like, no trust factor. when we're trying to get leads and during lead generation, but we have to continue that during the transaction, during the listing process, the showings, going under contract, at the closing table. So some agents focus so heavily on numbers or production that they forget the emotional side of real estate. And we can build that just by talking to our clients like we're talking to a friend that we care about. And we're going to dive into the top 3 boss level moves that we should all be doing. Number 1 is to streamline your onboarding. Point blank, period. When you onboard a seller and buyer, you should have a process that is duplicated every single time to the point where it's almost identical. Of course, sometimes some small things are different. So if you have a short sale or someone's doing like a 1031 exchange, but overall, the bulk of your listing appointments and your buyer onboarding can be the same. So if you do not have an onboarding process yet, that is 100% something you need to put in place. And then number 2, over communicate. I am a massive over communicator. If you ever took a strength finders test or one of the Enneagrams, you would know I am a number 6 Enneagram. We ask a crazy amount of questions and we over communicate. But in real estate, it shouldn't matter what your strength is. You should adopt this as one of your strengths. Become an over communicator. I always like to say in my appointments that I will answer questions before my clients even have an opportunity to ask them. And I always deliver that expectation that I set. And then number 3, and I honestly have never seen an agent do this until I started teaching it to others, brainstorm fires. At my meetings, when we're signing our buyer agreement and signing our listing agreement, I'm brainstorming fires that could possibly happen with my clients. So for example, I am telling sellers this happened in the past, whether it could be a low appraisal or something even crazier, like a squatter was in the house or there was a post occupancy and the people didn't move out in time. Run through some of those scenarios that could happen and brainstorm the fires with them so that they can expect there is a small possibility that this transaction does not go perfectly. And I want us to be prepared to work together as a team if something does pop up and we have to put out a fire together. Clients get unrealistic expectations when the entire process starts perfect, like a dream, and the agent is just making so many promises, like it's going to be rainbows and unicorns the whole time, when we know that is not the case for real estate. So to dive deeper, I wanted to show you guys some of the posts that I was seeing in Moms in Real Estate. I kind of did a deep dive. I searched, I went even back a few months. You'll see like October on here, August on here, but these were some of the things that were popping up consistently. And we would be here all day if I took screenshots of all of them, but just a few. Do you take certain days off a week? I'm feeling burnt out. I'm working every single day. My clients are driving me crazy. This was a favorite one. What would you do if your seller wants you to hold an open house every single weekend? Oh my goodness, that does not sound like a life anybody would want. Client is demanding an open house this Sunday, and it is Father's Day. No, no, this one up here, she was exhausted from showing a ton of homes. She has shown this father and daughter over 30 homes, 9 in one day. I need advice. 250 plus days on market and she needs a price reduction. I need help. Seller refuses to go less than a certain price. These are all fires that we see all the time, but these are also things that you could have in your onboarding process to where they actually never become an issue during your transaction. Next slide. So the first one, I started with seller. I'm primarily a listing agent. Talking to my seller about these things is something that I do at every single listing appointment, and I have never lost a listing appointment by over communicating. So number 1, during my client onboarding process, we talk about price drops up front. We know when they're going to happen. We know how much we're going to do. I explain up front that we're not going to be doing like $5,000 price drops. That doesn't really help anything. If someone was willing to offer $5,000 less than listing price, they already would have. So I talk to my sellers up front that we're going to make big chunky price drops to where maybe we only need to do 1 or 2 versus some of these price drops we see in the system where it's like 5,000, 5,000, 2 weeks later, 5,000. And then before the property actually sells, they've done like 8 to 10 price drops. it just is not a good process. It's not a good look. The seller starts to look desperate, and then it removes control during the negotiation process to the buyer. And I explain all of that to my seller so that we can have some big chunky, like 25,000. I actually explain the search filters in Zillow and in the MLS that are the most common, and try to get my clients to drop on brackets so we can open up to a new buyer pool. And we get it on an addendum the day that a price drop is going to happen, how much it is, so I never have to have that conversation again while we're on the market. Because in the beginning, it's kind of like when you first get married and it's the honeymoon stage and everybody's excited and happy. And then a little bit further into the process, some little fights can start happening and communication gets a little rocky and everybody has an attitude. You don't want to ask for a price drop when you're 30, 60 days on market, because that seller is getting heated. That seller is getting impatient. Ask for the price drop up front when you're still in the honeymoon stage and they love you. Low appraisal. This is one of the fires I was talking about in the prior slide. This happens on onboarding. I talk to them. If we get a low appraisal, say everything goes perfect, we go under contract in 30 days, you get the best offer ever, and we're like all happy pedaling on the same bike, and then we get a low appraisal. What would you do? What is going to be our plan? And then I give them options. We talk about it. Of course, this is going to be a what if scenario, because there could be a small chance that it happens. There could be a big chance that it happens. I've had low appraisals on houses that I never thought I would have a low appraisal on. I had comps to support it and I still got one. And then I had perfect appraisals on houses where I thought for sure we would have a low appraisal. So there's no way to predict this. That's why a conversation upfront is so important. And then buyer agent commission. I talk to my sellers upfront that when we get offers, as long as it's nothing unrealistic, like 3.5, that we're not going to negotiate back and forth with the buyer agent commission. I want, and I'm going to touch on this lightly because I know there's certain rules in place, but I want us all to be on the same team. And we set the expectations for commission up front to where the seller already expects what they're going to pay the buyer's agent, what they're going to offer the buyer's agent. It is negotiable, but they already know up front. That way, when we get offers, now it's time to negotiate their contract price, their closing date, their inspection period, the loan contingency. If the buyer has concessions outside of that, we can negotiate that. But it's not the time to negotiate commissions post-listing. So have that hard conversation up front. That way you're working a relationship with your clients and other realtors in your area. So we need to support them too. And that's all I'll leave with there. Repairs. We talk about repairs up front. And I prep my sellers that we're going to leave emotions out of this. Sometimes you can get a repair list that has like 30 things on there, and some of them are so unrealistic, it doesn't even make sense. And a seller can immediately get prideful and not want to negotiate anything. I 100% say that just like that. I was like, I want to make sure our feelings don't get hurt and we don't get prideful if we get an unrealistic repair addendum. So I want you to know, like in the past, I've gotten repairs for really silly cosmetic things, but we're always going to be open to negotiating. We're always going to do a counter. That way, the goal is to keep moving forward. So we talk about all that up front. Open houses. All of my closest realtor friends know I am not an open house fangirl. It's not one of my strong lead pillars. I don't like doing them. Maybe it's my ADHD, but I hate sitting there for hours. I talk to my sellers up front and let them know how many open houses I'm willing to do. I never do the first weekend that we're on the market. I explained to them the first weekend on market is our strongest and most serious buyers prefer private showing. I'm like, let's leave that open for those serious buyers to get through the door. And then I'm like, and then if you want an open house, we can do one the second weekend. But the most important thing I explained to them with open houses, and if you guys take one thing away from this call, I want it to be this. I see serial open houses on listings. My heart hurts for the agent and the seller because your open houses are advertised on Zillow. And say a buyer is doing a little research on a house they're interested in, and they see that this listing has had 12 open houses across the last 4 weeks, and they're still sitting there without offers. That's showing them how much work the agent has put in, how much exposure it has had, and it's still on the market. The seller is losing their negotiation power. It does not look good for a house to have 1 million open houses on it. And I explain that to my sellers up front so they don't have an unrealistic expectation that open houses are super, super good. Open houses are a lead generation pillar for realtors. Point blank period. Sometimes, there are exceptions to the rule. An open house could possibly sell it, but it's like less than 5% of the time in realistic statistical measures. And I explained to them that I want them to hold their negotiation power. That's my strongest defense for them, is to make sure they hold their negotiation power, even if we're on the market for 4 months, even if we're on the market for 6 months. So we don't want a bunch of open houses sitting on there that a buyer can see, and then they use that as a power move in their offer. And then working hours. This is so, so important, especially if you don't want to be in burnout mode. You have to have a working schedule. Just say, for example, you are scheduling a dentist appointment. When you call your dentist, do you tell your dentist, hey, can I have my appointment 7 p.m. on Sunday? Your dentist would be like, no, go get a different dentist. I'm not the dentist for you. It is completely normal, and our society is programmed to work within people's schedules. It is second nature for people to know that they can work within people's schedules. School, careers, anytime anyone tries to schedule an appointment anywhere, not even a dentist, it could be for anything. It could be for hair, it could be for your nails, for anything. They are looking at the availability of that service provider. So you having working hours does not make it look like you're not a good realtor or you're not the best for them because you're not available 24/7. It's going to feel normal and comfortable for them. And I've actually won business by explaining my schedule to people. And they were like, you're one of the first agents that haven't told us you'll be at our beck and call 24/7. I've had a seller tell me, the agent before you told me I could call her at midnight. Like, what? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. You cannot call me at midnight. I will be asleep. So I challenge you after this call to make sure you have 1 to 2 days off a week, that you communicate to your sellers. These are my days off. If there is like an epic emergency, and by emergency, I mean their vacant house was broken into, or there is a water leak and the neighbor called to let you know that there's water coming out of something. Those are the types of fires. A fire is not a buyer called and asked if they could see it on Thursday, so you're going to get it scheduled on your day off. You know what I mean? You guys tracking with me? I can't see you, but I feel like you're tracking with me.
Yes.
Okay.
When I am like, you and I are the same humans. I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
Okay, good. I'm like, are there tech issues? It's so quiet.
No,
Okay,
no, everybody's taking notes because they all want to build a business. It's
good.
life-giving with boundaries. So they're here for it.
Yes, yes. So on to the buyers. Showing guidelines, just like that screenshot from the Moms in Real Estate group on the prior slide. 30 houses, 9 in 1 day. Crazy, crazy, crazy. On my onboarding process with my buyer, I tell them the days of the week that I have my showings. But most importantly, I tell them, and this is just my rule, you can adopt which one's best for you. I never show more than 5 houses in the same day to the same buyer. I tell them they will all start running together. Then we will have second showings more continuously, because you're going to kind of forget, oh, did this one have the pantry or was it this one? There's no way to really, with their brains. We see houses every day, so we can, normal people can't. They're going to get confused, especially first-time home buyers. And then what I also tell them is you email me your list of the houses that you want to see, and then I'm going to filter through them and remove the ones that I know will not work for you based on their needs and greeds that they showed me. I always ask for a needs and greeds list. Needs are major deal breakers. For example, if they know they will not live off a busy highway because they have young kids and they don't want their young kids to possibly run in the road, I'm going to mark all those off. Greed would be like a pool, but it's not really a deal breaker. You know what I mean? So then we would possibly see some with a pool because they kind of want one, but they're not going to turn up the most perfect house if it doesn't have one. And that's going to help narrow down your showing list as well. And then offer strategy. I saw a ton of posts about this. I just couldn't fit any more on the slide. This is probably the most important for your buyer onboarding. When you have clients, set your offer expectations up front during the first appointment. I always tell my buyers a normal offer process is about 5% of the listing price. I let them know from the beginning, I am not the agent for you if you want to go do lowball offers on everything. It's It's a waste of everyone's time. That's not the market that we're in for my market. Your market could be a little bit differently, but in my market, lowball offers are not going to, we're going to get a no. We won't even get negotiation going. And what we don't want is for our offer to be immediately rejected, because then we kind of lose our power. Because then if the buyer really wants it, they're going to be like, JK, will actually pay. And then we all look silly. So there's no point to go in 100,000 under asking, 50,000 plus concessions. We go over our offer strategy very clearly from day one. And then I also have a harder conversation with buyers who need seller concessions. If I have a client who's on a tough budget and we know we need the seller to pay for their closing costs, I tell them we're going to make an offer at asking price or a little over. If it's newly on market, we know there's a bunch of exposure. If it's been sitting on the market a little bit, at asking, ask for what you need. We're going to get it. There's no reason to go back and forth forever. And I tell clients too in the beginning, is it worth it to you if you find the most perfect house that you pay a fair price for it versus nickeling and diming and possibly losing it? Every single time, every single buyer has told me, oh, I'd pay 15, 20, 30,000 over if it's the most perfect house. So why, when it comes to offer time, are we countering back and forth over pennies? It's kind of like don't trip over dollars, pick up pennies. We all want the same goal. You want to close on your dream home. So we're going to do the correct offers to get you there. And then buyer agent commission to get your buyer agreement signed. Again, I'm going to tread lightly on this one, but we need to have the conversation up front. And I'm even seeing in this market now that buyers are signing these left and right with realtors, but they don't understand what they mean. And I've seen agents do this. They will kind of glaze over the buyer contract just to get it signed. I've seen some call it a touring agreement because it sounds a little bit lighter when you're, no one wants to say buyer contract or whatever you call yours. We need to be very clear with our clients. This is stating you're paying me whatever your X amount is, and I'm going to try my hardest to get the seller to pay it. But if the seller will not pay it, what are we going to do? Are you willing to walk from the property and we find another one that's willing to cover that? Or are you willing to cover the buyer agent price before you sign this? Be super, super clear. And I've even seen buyers sign multiple buyer agreements with multiple realtors because they don't know what they're signing. We're glazing over this, and I honestly don't know why. It's absolutely crazy because I wouldn't play with my money. I'm sure most of you guys don't want to play with your money. And it comes down to us over communicating and explaining what exactly it is. And I haven't had one buyer that has not been comfortable with me over explaining it, because calling it a touring agreement, just kind of sending it with the offer, I've seen that done too, like craziness. Get super, super, super clear on this one so that you guys have a plan. If the seller does counter your rate, or the seller completely rejects it, you already know what your buyer is going to do and you can walk away without guilt. And lastly with that, do not cut yours out of guilt. We cannot work for free. Like, God wants us to eat too, okay? And that's what I'll leave it on that. Repairs. I discuss repairs with my buyers up front. I never want to be that agent that sends over a ridiculous repair request that doesn't make sense. I tell my clients from the very beginning, the main things we're going to worry about is what's on your 4-point: electrical, roof, HVAC, plumbing, that kind of stuff. Anything cosmetic, anything little, this is your guide to take care of what's in your home you're buying after closing. The inspection, the full one, is not a guide for what we want to get from the seller. And when I've started explaining it like that, it's like a light bulb goes off in the buyer's mind that they know their inspection is like a manual for them to review and look at after closing to make their home their own. What do they want to take care of? Does that crack in that tile bother you post-closing to where you want to take care of it? It's not for the seller to take care of right now. You know what I mean? But anything that is a safety hazard, anything that is a deal breaker for insurance, that's what we want to take care of. That's what we want to ask for. And then I also go over with them up front. Are we asking for repairs or are we asking for concessions? Because I prefer my buyer to ask for concessions. That way, nothing is repaired wrong for them to kind of get bitter post-closing if it's not done correctly. And then new construction. I put this one in here. I didn't originally have it in there, but when I was doing some recon in the group, there was a few posts where buyers agents had buyers go to new construction without them. And then they were like SOS for help about how they can negotiate their commission into the contract post their clients going to new construction. Any seasoned realtors know that this is a big no-no. This can absolutely get you written out of the deal. So all of our newer agents that are on the call, 100% have a super clear conversation about new construction and tell them you cannot go to any model homes. I wouldn't even call it new construction anymore because buyers get confused. They don't know our jargon, our terminology, and sometimes they think new construction is literally like a new construction project that, doesn't even have walls yet or no drywall and it looks like a construction home. Use the word model homes when you're explaining this. Say if you see the big signs out front, open to the public, model home, fancy, come in, we have cookies, tell them don't take the bait, don't come in. They will steal you from me, and be super clear with it. And then lastly, again, buyers, with your working hours, set your schedule up front. It is okay if you want to turn your phone off at 7 o'clock and not respond to people post that time. It is okay if you take off work Tuesdays and Sundays. You don't have to do showings every single day. And I promise you, your income will not go down if you communicate it correctly. I take off 2 days a week, well, 2.5, because we have date night every Friday. And my income has continuously gone up every single year. I've been doing this for 10 years. And having these strict guidelines is what gets me repeat business. This whole call was for loyalty. And just like going back to the front with these NAR reports, the number one reason buyers and sellers did not hire the same realtor again, poor communication. And this is something that we can all get better at. And if you really want to get better at it, you should read my book. I teach you how to conquer hard conversations in it, and I go over my close method in it. But these are my tips for you today. Streamline your onboarding, always over communicate, and brainstorm buyers up front. That is what I have, Randy, before I go on to a giveaway. Do we have any questions?
Okay, ladies. So lots of people were tracking with you. Could you see the comments, Kayla? Because I was pulling them up. There was lots of comments, but okay.
I can't.
So there was lots of comments and people sharing where they were and how excited they are to be here and just kind of saying, what they do or what they need to do. And so, yes, let's see also. Yes, she is an over communicator as well. So I love it. Ari said it in Spanish.
Oh, I love that.
But so if you have any questions, so great. Now the comments are, like great explanation. So good.
Perfect.
Yes, over communication is my kind of girl. And so I love it. And what I love that you did, and there's, again, they just keep coming in. So if you have any questions, drop those for Kayla and we can ask those. But what I love is that you came up with key phrases that become your language. And so there's two things I always talk about with my team that I really feel like you're dialing in here. And one is the magic is in the messaging, right? You can say the exact same thing, but the way that you say it can completely transform the way it's received. Yep. And so I love that you are finding little key phrases, like when you said, brainstorming fires. So I always explain to them that I do, that I work to be proactive. And I have some saying that I can't remember right now that I say, but it's like, I'm always trying to anticipate it. I do a turbulence letter. I do a turbulence letter right when we go into escrow. I kind of loved how you do it up front. So maybe I'll move that to up front. But as soon as we go into escrow, I basically say, hey, here's the 88 things that could go wrong. Right. And the less turbulence you feel, the better that I helped fly this plane for you. Right. So I love that. And I love how you're empowering our moms. And I believe that one of our moms is actually going to get to dive deeper with you now, right?
Yes. So one of you lucky ladies are going to win 1 year inside of my private coaching community called The Lounge. Inside the community, we have 2 coaching calls a month with our coaches, which is myself and my co-founder, Shannon. And then we have 1 guest speaker a month that is always a really fun hot topic. So how you're going to enter the giveaway is after this call, I'm going to make a recap post inside of Moms in Real Estate. You have to go find the recap post and comment 1 takeaway from this call in the comments. And then you have to tag your real estate bestie and ask them their favorite client onboarding tip, because we're not gatekeepers, right? We want to share everything that we learned. Everyone couldn't make the call today, and this is going to make sure that this call lives past just right now. We're going to give it a permanent spot inside Moms in Real Estate. So super easy to enter. Find the recap post, comment one takeaway from this call, and then tag your bestie asking them for their board on board.
Oh my goodness. I freaking love you. Your brain is just, it's beautiful. I love how it works, all the things. And so yes, let's keep this training alive, and let's keep this, as a standard of how we run our businesses. The entire mission behind Moms in Real Estate is to build a life-giving business that opens opportunities for your family that wouldn't have otherwise. And the fact that it's 2025 and we have so many women that are still suffering through this business when it can be life-giving, absolutely not. And so we love that we have you as a partner, Kayla, and we love that you are just continually such an authentic contributor in our community. And so I think, can you see him now? I think I tried a different way. Can you see him popping up on the side now, Kayla?
I cannot, but let me escape full screen.
Okay, what about now? Do you see them? Because I have them there small, but like they pop up like this too. Do you see that?
Yes, now I do.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that StreamYard just didn't think about the presenters.
I know.
Because we had tons in here. But yes, go over there. You won't want to miss your opportunity. And if they don't happen to win, they can still join the lounge, right?
Yes, you can still join the lounge if you do not win. It is $47 a month. I had a heart to make this crazy affordable, and it really is like, what is that, 3 coffees in today's day and age with how expensive coffee is?
Maybe 1 coffee run if you take somebody with you.
I know, right? 1 coffee date. So have a coffee date with me every single month and join the Stay Bossy Lounge for $47. But try to win a year free first.
Yes, go do that. But I also want to say that
one last thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. If you are currently a member in Stay Bossy Lounge, because I just saw her pop up, you can still enter and win a free year, and we'll pause your paid membership. So you can definitely still enter if you're a current member.
Yay, I love that. And I just want to shout you out because I know this comes from the place of your heart. I know that you have a story that you've shared a few times, and the fact that you wanted to keep this something that was affordable is huge. That's very near and dear to our Moms in Real Estate mission. And so guys, investing in yourself is something that is so powerful. And I just want to tell you that over the course of my 20+ year career, coaches that are at the level of Kayla, I have seen charge thousands of dollars, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And the fact that she's providing something that is so high in value and so cost effective, like if you are not, even myself as a producing agent who's been doing this for years, we get busy, we get out of sorts, market shifts take us out of our processes. Getting around people that are going to keep us driving the machine correctly is invaluable. So I highly suggest jumping over to the lounge one way or another, but go try to win it first, right?
Yes, go try to win it first.
All right, friend. Well, thank you for joining me here. I'm so excited, and we're going to make this, we're going to keep this thing alive and keep going.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Bye, ladies. Thank you all.